Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. And I'm just going to play a little video, and hopefully it'll be self-explanatory, but just enjoy the show.
Marcus Licinius Crassus, commander of Italy, by command of His Most Merciful Excellency, your lives are to be spared. Slaves you were, and slaves you remain. I bring a message from your master.
Well, good evening, everybody. I just thought that would be a bit of a relevant video to put up there, and it kind of reminded me of one of the days of Tommy's trial outside the Old Bailey, where we were all saying, "I am Tommy." Unfortunately, I'm not Tommy, and unfortunately, Tommy's not here again tonight. However, we are going to have a good show, so bear with us. The reason Tommy's not here tonight, and the reason Tommy wasn't here last night, I'm going to give a brief explanation, and then you'll understand. He has been working on a video for the last literally 48 hours, and well, I'm not going to spoil what it's all about, but it's basically about the situation that the country's facing now with the racial discord that's been sown by Antifa, by the far left, and by the group calling themselves Black Lives Matter. It's a very, very detailed video. It's taken a lot of time and a lot of editing. That is going to be launched tonight, probably while this show's on. And what's going to happen now, this is definitely going to happen, according to Tommy. We're going to have a discussion tomorrow at 7:30 about the video, about what's happening with this. I think we can only call it. I think we've got to call it like it is. I'm always calling out the racists on the far right. Well, I'm going to call out the racists that call themselves far left, because Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, is a racist organization. And that's going to be what the video that Tommy's producing is about. So tomorrow night at 7:30, we'll discuss it. Most of us, thanks, Luton Lion. That's lovely. I'm going to put that on the screen there, because there's two Rickies here today. So both of us are getting some love from Luton Lion. That's fantastic. So yeah, tomorrow night, 7:30. Tommy is 100% going to be on this channel, and we're going to discuss what's happening with identity politics in the UK, racism, race baiting, and so on and so forth. So tonight I have got Rikki Doolan, and with a name like Doolan and coming from Middlesbrough, he can't be all bad, so he's got to be all good. So Rikki, he'll tell you a bit about himself in a minute. We've got John Yates as well, and we're going to talk about the situation that's happening in the country, particularly around monuments and statues, and the madness of what's happening at the moment. So Rikki, if you could just introduce yourself, tell us who you are and a bit about yourself, and then we'll crack on and talk about why you're going to be going to those demonstrations on Saturday. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for having me in here, and hello to all of the viewers. And yeah, my name's Rikki Doolan, as Richard said, and I used to run a movement called I Am British, which was on Twitter, and got really behind the Donald Trump visit to the UK, the very first one around 2017, 2018. We were heavily involved in promoting and pushing for that, whilst the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and other public figures were pushing against it. And yeah, I really got into the political arena because the whole Brexit thing kind of engulfed me and got me interested, and it's good to be here. And now we're facing another very serious issue in our great nation, and that is, of course, our culture is under attack, our society is under attack, our history is under attack, and it's under attack by a movement that claim to be fighting against racism, yet they are fighting against our culture, our history, and our way of life. And myself, for one, and is not somebody that can just sit, eat my Weetabix,
and watch that happen. So that's why I'm going to London to, even if I just need to stand in front of the Churchill statue on Saturday, I'll do that.
Well, and I think one of the interesting things in all this is that, you know, like so many of us, Rikki, you got I better not say radicalized, or else I have the anti-terrorist branch knocking on your door. But we got politicized because of Brexit. I mean, I've always voted and I've always taken an interest in politics, but I was never active in politics until Brexit. John, like I say, has been involved in politics for many, many years, probably 30 years, starting in his early to mid-teens, and obviously right up until the present day, because obviously Northern Ireland was actually at the sharp end of the battle to save the United Kingdom 40, 50 years ago. So they were well ahead of the curve. But we're actually now going through what Northern Ireland went through. And that gives me great hope that people are waking up to politics. And that's where social media is so important. That's where doing what you did with I Am British, Rikki, because I remember you had what, 20,000 people following you on Twitter. You had a fairly sizable following, or was it more than that? Yeah,
we got over 30,000, but the engagement was really good, you know. And then when we got behind the Donald Trump visit, we really connected with America in a big way, and it was good.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, what are you doing with that now, Rikki? Is I Am British, is it just parked at the minute? Is it gone altogether, or what's
that one's on the substitutes bench, so to speak. And you know, just moving forward, just with my own Twitter page at Rikki Doolan, and being what they were calling the modern day, a political commentator, and just
very good.
And you know.
And I mean, I think just for anybody that's on the feed tonight, and we've got a good crowd, we've got a couple of hundred people on the feed tonight. Anybody that's engaging with this tonight, I would encourage you, you know, find a platform that suits you. I used to love Facebook, but Facebook unfortunately didn't love me too much because of my associations with Spartacus. So I got unceremoniously dumped off Facebook, along with thousands of other patriots, back last year when Tommy was standing for election in the northwest of England. But I think if everybody needs to find a home where they can get on social media, engage. I think very good friends of mine that are massive on Twitter. Nobody know them really, but they do such a lot on Twitter, and they're just constantly tweeting, retweeting stuff, you know, putting content up there. And again, it's all about influencing. It's all about doing it in a way. And this is what I've learned from John. It's all about doing it in a way that I'm a free speech absolutist, but the problem that we've got is the platforms that we're on don't believe in free speech. So unfortunately, a few years ago, we used to pretty much say what the hell we wanted and get away with it. Now you've got to be a little bit more measured in what you say. Not that we were saying anything bad, but it was just the authorities would have been, the authorities at YouTube and so on and so forth, they'll just ban you. So you've got to be a bit more measured in what you say, but still get the message across. And that's something I can thank John for teaching me along the way. What are your thoughts on the situation we're facing at the minute, John?
Yeah, I mean, Black Lives Matter, Hope Not Hate, other organizations such as that. I mean, what are they? They're agitators. They're just there to sort of stir hatred and to create divisions within society. And isn't it, you know, unbelievable how that, say, government bodies, how that the media, and right through, we all know who the media are at the end of the day, but isn't it amazing how these people's words are taken as gospel? Today I seen a little newspaper article. It was the Daily Mail, and they were saying that far-right extremists are going to cause problems over the statues and the memorials right throughout the UK. You know, just think about that. Who's the agitators here, and why are the media painting it like that?
This is a huge problem, and I'll maybe, if we get the chance later on, I'll maybe pull the feed up. I mean, I think one of the biggest problems that we've got in the mainstream media at the moment is that dreadful reprobate man, the fat slobbering Piers Morgan, and you know, he is probably one of the most unpleasant characters I think I've ever seen on the television. He's a bully. We know that, in fact, the British Army called him an Al-Qaeda recruiting sergeant. Imagine having that in your CV, that you're an Al-Qaeda recruiting sergeant, and you still have a national television show. But he's symptomatic of the whole mainstream media. The Daily Mail, that used to be a right-wing newspaper, has been taken over by the Socialist Workers' Party. And I mean that. I mean, Hope Not Hate send a press release into these papers, and these papers, you think they were actually publishing the Gospel of John. In fact, they probably believe more in what Hope Not Hate sent them than anything they would read in the Bible. They just print stuff without questioning it. And this is a huge, huge problem that we've got at the minute. And what we need to do, that's why these channels are so important. And that's why, I just encourage everyone that's on channel tonight, if you like the video, if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to watch it. But if you like these videos, like them and share them, because what we're about, what Ricky's about, what John's about, what I'm about, what all the other people that come on channel are about, is telling the truth and being a counter narrative to what the mainstream media are talking about. And what we're doing is having effect. Look at those people down in Poole today that got around that statue of Baden-Powell. I'm going to play a little video here, guys, just while we're chatting. This actually happened today. I don't know if you can see that, guys, coming up on screen there. This is literally straight in from one of the Patriots just sent me this just before we came on stream. And let me just play that. This is in central London. Now, this is scaffolding going up around Churchill statue. Okay. Now, is that a good sign or is it a bad sign? I'm hoping it's a good sign. I'm hoping what that's doing is basically showing that they are taking it seriously and they are going to protect Churchill statue. Now, Rikki, could you tell us, like, what's your take on Saturday? You're obviously going to go to the statues. What do you see you doing? What's your plan for Saturday?
Well, I'm hoping for a peaceful day to start with. I think people are gunning towards clashes, but that's not what I want to see. I don't think that's what anybody wants to see in terms of people that are going there to stand up for our heritage, for our culture, and for the right for our history to be on display. So what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping for there to be a visual resistance to what's taking place right now. And when we say resistance, we don't mean a resistance to anti-racism. We mean a resistance to this divisive move that's separating white and black people with an ever-growing gap that can only end up creating some type of race war. And that's what it's gunning towards at the minute. And we don't want that. But we want to show that the British people, and it's not, remember, being a British person is not about skin color. It's not about background. It's about, do you live in this country? Do you respect this country? Do you respect this country's culture? And everybody who lives in this country should have an element of respect for this country's culture.
I agree.
So we're going to go there.
Go on, Rick. Yeah, of course. Sorry. Carry on, mate. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're going to go there, and hopefully there'll be good numbers down there. I encourage everybody watching who can get there to be there. And it's just to be there and to be a symbol that we are against this move of changing statues, dropping TV programs, even trying to change the word racism in the dictionary. We're against that. We're against it. If we're going to do it, then it has to be done with a discussion, with democracy in the right and democratic process, not just by some type of authoritarian force like what they're doing now. When Sadiq Khan took that statue down in London, it was like, well, hang on a minute, where was the discussion?
Absolutely. Well, he's an autocrat. He doesn't believe in this. Rikki, what would you say to so if somebody came up to you on Saturday and says you're a racist and got in your face, what would your answer be to them, and why would your answer be something that would be difficult for them to speak against?
Well, my answer would be, where's your evidence? Where's the facts? What are you basing me being a racist on? Because number one, I'm not a racist. And to be honest, I'm tired of trying to somehow give people information to disprove I'm a racist. I'm tired of it. Because today alone on Facebook, I had something like 15, 20 people calling me a racist simply because I said all lives matter. That was one post. And my second post was, you don't have to support Black Lives Matter to support Black lives. I think that's quite a balanced and fair statement. Yet the people who are supporting Black Lives Matter decided that categorizes me as a racist. And on Saturday, I'll be there with my beautiful wife. She's 100% my better half. As you said, Richard, and as a lot of people keep saying, I'm punching above my weight.
Brother, you are definitely punching above your weight. I mean, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And
so I'll be with my beautiful wife. She's originally from Zimbabwe. And I'll also be with a couple of my friends who are from Portugal. A couple of my other friends were staying over their house on Friday. We're going to the statue on Saturday. They're from India. So the narrative that the left are pushing, that the Black Lives Matter are pushing, it doesn't hold weight, and that's what we have to prove. I mean, the stats don't support their narrative. The reality doesn't support their narrative. All that supports their narrative is the twisted MSM, the twisted celebrities, and this virtue signaling hysteria that's taking place. You know.
And I mean, I did a very sort of quick live feed earlier on, Ricky, and my take was very, very simple. We basically need to stand with other, and we have to, unfortunately, we have to play the race card and play the identity cards, and we need to stand with our African, our Caribbean, our Indian, our Chinese, our Pakistani patriotic friends that love this country just as much as we do. I think of my Sikh friends that I've got to know over the past 2.5 years that have been heavily involved in this movement. They are passionate about defending British culture from radical extremist Islam. They're passionate about being British, and they're every bit as patriotic as we are. And you know, I think of some of the guys that served in the military, that I served in the military with, that were from West Indies, some even from Somalia, some from Muslim backgrounds, some from Christian backgrounds. So we've got to smash this narrative, because there is, here's the thing. I mean, this is the way I see it, right? If you're white or black or brown or yellow or some other color, I don't know what other colors there are, but I'm thinking that's just about some, yeah, whatever color. If whatever color you are, if you love the UK and you want to make the UK work for everybody, irrespective of their background, as long as you love the UK, and I keep going about these 4 principles, but these 4 principles are very important. I believe people always talk about what British values are. This is what I believe British values can be summed up in these principles: freedom, equality, democracy, and sovereignty. They are the 4 principles of Britishness, and they're all based on our Judeo-Christian heritage. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. That is our culture. That's our history. Now, if people don't believe in those principles and they don't like Britain, if you're a white scumbag lefty or a white Nazi and you don't like the way Britain's governed, well, you can either try and change it democratically, and good luck with that, because the British people are such good people that they ain't going to buy into Nazism and they ain't going to buy into Marxism, or you can sling your hook and go and live somewhere else, no matter what color you are. I don't care what color you are. If you love this country, you're with me. If you hate this country, go and find somewhere better to live, but stop trying to destroy our country and bringing it down to a level that you want, which is way below what the people of this country deserve.
Yeah, indeed.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I always believe, to try to understand things, what you need to do is you really need to sort of trace it back to where it's come from. And, you know, we all know where this whole Black Lives Matter has came from. It's came from, is it Minneapolis? And you see what's happened with George Floyd there lately. Now, we know who's orchestrating it, and we know why that they're orchestrating it. I mean, you, Ricky, I mean, you says that you're a Donald Trump supporter. And we know that there's an election coming up in November here for Trump. And, you know, I honestly believe that the instability in America, which is spilled out right across the Western world, this is what it's about. It's about trying to ensure that America is in you know, absolutely, you know, they're scattered and they're fighting with each other. And then perhaps Trump will, you know, get the blame, because they'll be able to try to say that it was Trump's presidency that caused this here. Now, on that subject, I mean, we have, you know, the people that surrounds Trump, and then with the other crowd, you know, your Obamas, your Clintons, and all of those people in the past that were attached to this crowd that is causing these problems right now. Now, again, going back to where it started, let me just, now this is going to be the first time that this has ever been told on live chat, and I'm just going to read a small caption from an admission that we got from this crowd not too long ago. there's a body, it's called the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace. And what they do is they use the Northern Ireland peace process and they run around the world trying to create peace in different countries. I believe that they're a wolf in sheep's clothing. In fact, of huge evidence that they're a wolf in sheep's clothing. And where did this body come from? You see, it was originally Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and co. that set this body up. So recently, through knowing a man that I've known for quite some time, I asked for a meeting with this crowd. And this man is, what I can see from documentation, he's probably one of the top 4 within this George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace attached to the Clintons and so on. So I met him pre-COVID. And this is just a little caption from interactions that we were having. And I have this in writing. So this will be very enlightening for people. So he says to me that, "Hi, John, thank you for making contact with the Mitchell Institute. And I share your view that processes require engagement by ordinary people." So he was inviting me to have a chat because I was saying, surely we can't leave this to politicians. Ordinary people have to have their say. Everybody has to have their say if we're going to have a society based on fairness. So he goes on to say here that, he says, so ordinary people need to take back control from politicians. I just listen to those words. What are you seeing right now on the streets? You're seeing mob rule, forgetting about the politicians, and these people think that they're empowered to such a stage. Now, this is right out of these people's textbook. They have them empowered to such a stage that they think that they can pull statues down without democracy. They can do whatever they want. And where the problem lies is our politicians actually won't stop it. Our so-called conservative politicians, for fear of being called racist or whatever, they won't stand up against it. So let me just go on for a moment, and it's a very, very short piece that I want to read here. We espouse the liberal values of the person after whom we are named. That's a guy called George Mitchell, which Bill Clinton brought to the Northern Ireland peace process. And he says, after whom we are named, and which shape modern universities throughout the world. Now, there's another admission. They espouse the values of George Mitchell, but the Clintons, which shape modern universities throughout the world. Now, I have a document in my possession. Now, it's in the public domain. It's nothing special. But what it will show you here in Queen's University in Belfast, where the George Mitchell Institute came into being, there's 40 professors, which recently, 2 years ago, they wrote a letter to 4 people at the top. This man that I was speaking to was one of the people at the top. And what they were complaining about was that there was an honorary doctorate going to what was seen as a conservative DUP member, a guy called Peter Robinson. So we can tell a lot from that document, basically, that they don't want conservatives around the place. Now, he says, what we espouse is gender and sexual equality. We support women's right to choose abortion. We advocate racial inclusivity for all, including immigrants and refugees. I really hear this is the most important part. And we do not subscribe to narrow notions like Ireland or the US or the UK. Narrow notions. They don't subscribe to countries. They're wanting to remove your identity. Now, Ireland for the Irish, he goes on to say, Britain for the British is unchristian and politically dangerous. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, it just shows exactly where we're at, John. And I think it shows that what we're doing is vitally important, and what Ricky's going to do on Saturday. And now, here's the thing about Saturday, right? I'm going to say something about Saturday. First of all, about the policing of it. I did a video earlier on in the week, and I called out the police, and I said, guys, if you want there to be peace at the weekend, do your jobs. Because if you do your jobs properly, and maybe they've listened, maybe that's why the scaffolding's going up, maybe they've realized that they should have policed it properly at the weekend, and people are enraged. And it's not just football lads and the so-called far right, because I know the football lads, and I've said this time and time again, the football lads are not far right. Many of them are from multiracial backgrounds. I don't even like using the term race, because there's one race, it's a human race. The football lads are made up of lots of different colours. Let's just say it that way. As are the veterans, right? And there's not a racist bone in the football lads or in the veterans' bodies or in Tommy's body or in Ricky's or in John. But I said to the police on a video, because I know they watch all these videos, and I challenged them and I said, why don't you put your big boy pants on, put your riot helmets on, put your knee pads on, get your batons out and do your jobs properly. And if people start attacking Downing Street. Imagine if a blast bomb had been thrown over that wall into Downing Street by a terrorist. Could have happened so easily under cover of what was going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever it was that they were having their rampage through London. It was nothing to do with race. It was pure thuggery carried out by anarchists, by Antifa, and by this reprobate, evil, wicked group called Black Lives Matter, right? So I challenge the police, says, sort yourselves out. If you protect the monuments, then it means patriots don't have to go and do it.
Definitely.
He phoned me the day after and spoke to the liaison officer that we normally speak to when we're doing demonstrations. And he said, there's a massive police operation swing into place at the weekend. We've got to take that as read. We've got to take that as the truth. But what I would far rather see is the police coming out with a statement telling people that if they go anywhere near monuments, or especially the Cenotaph, and start trying to set fire to Union Jacks, they will be arrested immediately. Now, the police told me when I spoke to them yesterday that the thug, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but just let's call the person the thug that tried to light up the Union Jack, the traitor, call him like it is, that tried to light up the Union Jack at the weekend, has been arrested and charged. So let's just hope that case comes to court and the person is found guilty. But the reality is, and this is what I want to get to, a lot of people are talking about not going on Saturday. If I lived in London, I'd be standing with you, Rikki. I would be going to the demonstration because, first of all, we shouldn't be intimidated by the threats of thugs and gangsters to say that you're not going to go on Saturday. But the other thing is, and I've seen this, and John will bear this out, in Northern Ireland, many times the media whipped things up and we were told we're right at the brink. Everything's going to be a disaster. There's going to be mass murder, mass riots. Everybody's going to die. There's going to be civil war. And it never happened. It never happened. That doesn't mean it can't happen. But the reality is, many times these things are overhyped. And when the day comes, nothing happens and it's a peaceful protest and it turns out to be a good day. So we must not be intimidated by what we think is going to happen. It's the police's job to stop disorder breaking out. If people go there with violent intent, they should be arrested, they should be put before the courts, and they should be charged. It's as simple as that. If people go there to peacefully protest, like Ricky's going to do, with a multiracial crowd, which is far more representative of the British, of the United Kingdom than Black Lives Matter are, then that Rikki and his friends should be protected from enemies on the far right and enemies on the far left. And I think that really needs to be said, because if people want to go, they should go, and they should go without fear of being attacked or being intimidated. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, 100%. I think one thing that we all witnessed in the past 2 weeks, we all witnessed our police force not doing their duty to the extent that we would want them to do it. It was very clear that they've been given instructions to stand back, to stand down, to not apply force, and that came out very clearly, and that brought the result that we all saw in the videos that were coming from London. And that result was to allow that youth to be standing up there with an opportunity to burn the flag, to allow that missile to be thrown across to Downing Street, to allow the statue of Winston Churchill to be spray painted and vandalized. Just going that far is enough to spark a fire in the heart of anybody who's passionate about Britain, who's passionate about this nation, to just say, look, if the police are not going to look after things, then at least we're going to have to go and be there. And we, definitely we're not looking for violence. Definitely we don't want that to take place, whether it comes from the far right, whether it comes from the far left. But you mentioned something very important there, Richard. You said the main thing is that we should not be afraid, because when we looked at them police officers, we all saw fear. The people they were trying to control, they also saw fear. That's why they pushed it further, 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 until the police were now running away. And we all saw them videos. But we're not afraid. We're not afraid of a challenge. We're not afraid of a movement. We're not afraid of people threatening our culture. Why would we be? We are not that type of people. We are the British people. We are a strong nation, a strong people, and we have a strong history and a strong culture, and we'll stand strongly for that.
Absolutely, and I think that what you said there, Ricky, about but not being afraid. I mean, what the state seems to want is the people of Britain to be a pack of cowards that cower before terrorists.
That's what they're going for.
Cower before gangsters and cower before thugs. And I'm glad. I'm going to say, sorry, say again, Ricky. What did you say, mate? Sorry.
And also they want us to cower before name calling.
Yeah.
Racist, misogynist, homophobe, sexist, Islamophobe. They want us to go, oh my God, please don't call me that, you know. They're loading them words with so much power that they're trying to suppress us and our opinion. And, you know, it can't work. We can't allow it to work, whether it means we get so much flack, which I know you've experienced, where people are coming and they're criticizing you for your opinion. If that's how it has to be, then that's how it has to be. But we can't be showing that we are afraid of these terminologies in this way, because it will shift.
Absolutely. And I think what we've got to do, I mean, one of the things that I've always said about Tommy and about Anne-Marie Waters and about other patriots that have really been walking this in England for longer than I have, because obviously I've been living in Northern Ireland for 30 years. But the reality is, both myself and John was involved in unionist politics. I was in the military, as you know, and we have lived under a de facto death threat for the past 30 years. But this is nothing new to us, people trying to intimidate us and trying to threaten us, because we had it for the IRA, which again, what people don't realize is the IRA, the SNP, and all these so-called nationalist movements are actually playing the identity politics game with one goal, and the goal leads into the globalist agenda to destroy the United Kingdom. And that's exactly what Black Lives Matter are doing. They are not about unity. They are not the offspring of Martin Luther King's ideology. They are the offspring of Malcolm X's ideology, and the offspring of Karl Marx and Adolf Hitler's ideology, because they are nationalist and they are socialist, and they are extremely dangerous, and they've got to be called out as such. Kaz has just put up on screen there, the cenotaph is now being boarded up. I want you to think about this, guys. I want you, for everybody that's viewing this tonight, I want you to think about this, that the cenotaph has been boarded up, not because of us, not because of the patriots that are going to go and put themselves at risk at the weekend and stand round it, but the cenotaph has been boarded up because of anarchists, gangsters, and thugs that defaced it and tried to damage it at the weekend. There were statues in London with "all coppers are bastards" written on the side of them, and that was allowed to happen by our police force. And again, I mean, when we started the veterans, we very quickly said, we're not going to bow down to terrorism. We're going to stand. We're going to fight. We're going to protect. And what did the government tell us? Run, hide, and tell. And we said, you can stick your run, hide, and tell where the sun doesn't shine. We're going to stand for what's right, and we're going to stand here. And if the terrorists want to come and attack us with knives, they want to bomb us, bring it on, because we're going to stand here. And again, it's the authorities' job to protect us. And
yeah, absolutely.
Against.
Looking again
sorry,
back
guys.
Looking back at why it happens, I always like to explore why it's happened, because if you can understand what drives this, you have a chance of defeating it, is the reality. And I look in, I mean, to me, it's the Americanization of our politics. And what do I mean? Well, a couple of years ago, I wrote an article. I studied the Conservative Party, and I wondered why the Conservative Party didn't seem to be conservative anymore. I wondered why that they'd been dispensing with all the things that they claimed to believe in, and they were rolling over to absolutely everything. And, you know, in business, corporatism explains why exactly that this is happening, because, you know, corporatism relies on bringing footfall voters to your base. And the Conservative Party, they're trying to reach out in terms of, you know, to be open and inviting to some of these lefties who absolutely detest this country. You know, they detest everything about it. And I often say that you're inviting people to come and join you that wants to destroy you. And, you know, a biblical term for that would be that a house that is divided against itself, it can't stand. And even, you know, our local parties here, our DUP, they're doing exactly the same. and they're dispensing with everything that we've ever believed in, and they're rolling over to everything that this left brings to them, and they're appeasing them, and that's what it is that has to stop. And I honestly, you know, if there were a way, you know, there's so many parties that have started up in England. I mean, UKIP were doing a really, really good job there for a long, long time. And I know that Anne-Marie Waters is a party, you know, our principals have chatted to her at length. And I would say that Anne-Marie is a very, very smart lady. And although that we may not agree with some of her stances on certain things, I have to say she has the United Kingdom at heart, so she does. So, you know, looking at it, what has happened to our politics is that conservatives have dispensed with conservatism, leaving us where we have absolutely nobody to represent us. So we really need to build a, and this is what you've been about for a very, very long time, and I'm sitting and listening to yourself there, is that, you know, we need to start, you know, educating our people, finding ways of teaching our history, and ensuring that we build up a movement from the ground upwards. This can't be done overnight, but you know, from small acorns grow large oaks, and I believe that that's what we need to do.
John, you're absolutely right, John, and I was going to come on to that because we know what the problem is, and we know we can go to these demonstrations, and I believe street demos are absolutely, but I love street demos, and I'm absolutely gutted I can't get over this week. And I said it earlier, and I've said it a few times. Me and John are basically on the island of Alcatraz at the minute. The only way we can get to England without having to remortgage our houses is by swimming or rowing across the North Channel. I love swimming in the sea, but I'm just not that good that I can swim straight across the North Channel. So I'll have to leave it to my fellow Englishmen to fight the good fight. But I'll be watching with great interest what happens at the weekend. But I think, oh, by the way, I want to just mention that Hearts of Oak are doing a live stream at the same time as now. So I know this is how sacrificial I am. If you want to watch the Hearts of Oak live stream, it is on now. Don't want you to leave, but you can watch the Hearts of Oak one later. But I don't want to sort of eat into their time. So there is another live stream being done by Hearts of Oak at the minute. In fact, I want to talk very quickly about another demonstration, and then we'll talk about the political solution to this. There is going to be a demonstration in the middle of July, and it's really important that we get this out here. Now, we're going to have some great speakers at it, and me, and it's basically a demonstration about the dreadful situation that we've seen in the UK over the past 30 years, where, according to a Labour MP, up to 1 million English girls have been raped by men, vast majority of them from a Pakistani Muslim background. Think about that, 1 million girls raped. I'm going to put a poster up here to advertise this, because again, everybody on this channel, this demonstration this weekend is vitally important, but the one that we're having in July, we're going to go to the Home Office and we're going to demand the deportation of 3 rapists who raped a young girl in the north of England. They were not British nationals. I think they're either Bangladeshi or Pakistani. They raped this girl. They were basically sent to prison, and now they've been released from prison. And one of the wee girls that was raped bumped into this person in her local supermarket. And we've got a petition going. We've got legal action from Hearts of Oak going against the Home Office to demand that these 3 gentlemen are deported. So clear your diaries for the middle of July, because it's vital that we get big numbers on this demonstration, and we march to the Home Office and we say we want these people out. And like I say, the legal action will have gone through full process, and Priti Patel is going to be called to account on this. I'm just going to pull this up on screen, guys, so you can see the graphic for this. So just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, can you all see that? Yeah. Okay, so basically, march on the Home Office. Coming soon. It's coming July 2020. These are the gentlemen: Abdul Aziz, Adil Khan, Abdul Raf, and the message is very simple: deport them now. And it's going to be sponsored by Hearts of Oak and by Women Against Groomers. We need to see strong action taken against these grooming gangs, because this is without doubt one of the biggest scandals that this country has ever faced. And you see, the problem is there's so many things going on at the minute. But I think if people get to this demonstration on Saturday, and then if they can get across to to London in July for the anti-grooming demonstration. I think they're the two ones that I'd be really looking at. Rikki, what do you think about the political solution? What do we do to make this, to make Britain great again? I mean, you're obviously into the Make America Great Again. What do we do to make Britain?
Yeah, I think we have to look at what President Donald Trump has done in America, and we have to somehow mimic it in some certain ways to the best of the ability that we can. You know, like I've saw Boris Johnson do a few things that we can say is comparative to what President Trump's doing over there. But if you look what he's done in America, he's really focused on American manufacturing. He's put all of the rules in play, all of the special benefits that he can do in order to encourage American manufacture to take place and for people to buy American. And it's got to be the same with Britain. We've got to do that. As soon as we are clear of the red tape with the Brexit and the EU, then we have to start focusing on British manufacturing, British produce, and we have to start building like that. And you know, it really requires some people in Parliament to be, as John was saying, it seems like the Conservative voices are really missing when it comes to Parliament, when it comes to our top level of politics. And then we need them Conservative voices to be in there. You know, like I'll keep comparing over to President Trump. He became a real Conservative voice, like the king of Conservative voices on Western politics, and he's got the #1 seat in America. So you can see why he's having such an impact in that nation. So we need that in our politics as well, because we can do all of these street movements, and we have to. We can do all of this commentating, and we have to. But unless we get these type of voices and opinions and mindsets in Parliament, we'll not be able to change things as effectively as we need to.
I think that's right. And I think, I mean, both myself and John have met Anne-Marie on a number of occasions. I personally think that at the minute, in a political sense, in the United Kingdom, the only show in town at the moment is Anne-Marie Waters' party for Britain. Now I don't know if they would be. I don't know if Anne-Marie would be able to organise properly in Northern Ireland. But she said yesterday that she's going to stand for Parliament. She's going to stand at the next general election to get elected to Parliament in Hartlepool. She lives up in the northeast now. She's going to stand in Hartlepool, which is a strong Brexit area. And I believe, I strongly believe, personally, I'm going to get behind Anne-Marie. I know her personally in the same way I knew Gerard Batten and still know Gerard Batten well. But obviously, Gerard has stepped back from the political game. Gerard and Anne-Marie, they're two sides of the same coin. Both of them are great patriots. Both of them love this country. And both of them are aware of the cultural Marxism, of this far left infiltration of every area of government, and also of the real threat that we face from extremists, whether they be Antifa, whether they be BLM, whether they be Islamists, whether they be far right. Anne-Marie is fully aware of the threats to this country, and she's a very intelligent lady. She's very able, and I believe we should get behind For Britain. And I personally fully endorse them, and I would like to see them out organising more in Northern Ireland, and maybe have discussions with Anne-Marie at some point to talk about that, because I do believe that we need an alternative voice, and there isn't one at the minute. We cannot trust the Conservatives. You know, in the northeast, Rick, you'll remember this. There was an old saying, "Never trust a Tory," and it's true. The Tories are treacherous. They are. They're treasonous. They always have been. You can never trust them. Look at Ted Heath. Look at what Ted Heath did. Ted Heath thought that we're in the European Union. He was a Tory Prime Minister, and the Labour Party are a million times worse. So, and we'll not even go there with the Lib Dems or the SNP. So we need a clean sweep. You know, remember that they were talking about draining the swamp. We need to drain the sewer, because our political landscape and our media landscape is a sewer. And we, in a way, we do need a revolution, but it's a revolution not from the far right and not from the far left. It's from the good, solid Middle England, the good, solid Middle Englanders, the good, solid Unionist Scotsmen, and the good, solid Unionist, loyalist Northern Irish people. And that's what we need to see. And let's not forget about the good Unionist Welsh people as well. But we need to get behind the UK as an entity, and we need to support. We need to know this. All this is about is destroying the UK. That's what it's about. You were going to say something weird.
Yeah. Also sticking with the Conservative Party and explaining to you that what I what I think needs done is that we need counter to the likes of your Hope Not Hates, your Black Lives Matter, because these people's words are been taken as gospel. We really need people in place that would be authorized and you know, literally authorized to be on media panels and whatnot and give a counter narrative to what they're giving. And the Conservatives have failed completely in providing that. So, I mean, I would maybe encourage people in England, like we're doing in Northern Ireland, to lobby the politicians, get people, decent, clean people, to continue to lobby the Conservative Party and to point out that this is just an unfair deal for English people and explain that it could end up in race war, it could end up in all sorts of wars is the thing. And it doesn't really need to be that way. So you can never ever give up trying. As I say, that just last week that we're pushing our politicians for that we should be, ordinary people should be empowered, capable people should be empowered. If they're not willing to take these people on, we need people that would go toe to toe with these people. But I'm not talking about in a physical way. I'm talking about to counter everything that they're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah, and someone just put a comment up there saying the government wants a race war. What do we think about that, guys? Is it the government or is it the deep state that's really behind the government? I don't think Boris wants a race war. But I think there are shadowy forces that want to keep us in the EU, that want to break up the UK, that are actually in positions of influence and power in the background, in the mainstream media, in the security services, in the civil service, etc., etc. That would be my take on it, more than saying the government, even though I don't like the Tory government one bit, because I don't trust them, but I don't think they want a race war, but I think there are shadowy forces that do. What do you think, guys, on that?
Yeah, I think that's correct, because if you look at the problem is on the left, right? The problem is with the Labour Party, it is with the mainstream media, it is with these groups like Antifa, Black Lives Matter. The problem is on the left. And the reason is because these guys are they are gunning for socialism, they're gunning for communism. And the only way that they can achieve that is by destruction of the current system. And definitely race war plays into that strategy. So I don't think that they see a race war as a negative in their vision towards their end goal. Whereas obviously, it's not something that we want, and it's something that is a very negative force for our progress in Britain.
Yeah, and I've just been rebuked for not mentioning the Welsh enough there by Martin Carroll. Says it's a Welsh standard raised at Bosworth. Listen, I believe in the whole of the United Kingdom, and that includes Wales, which is a beautiful country full of some very hardy people. So yes, I'm not missing the Welsh out at all, Martin. Thanks for reminding us about that. Go on, John. What were you going to say?
On that race war, I mean, the guy's right. There is a race war which is building before our very eyes, and it is being agitated into place. And again, I just have to keep referring back to what we have to do with our politicians, because what else can we do? I mean, we don't want to fight this physically, because we've learned in the past that that's the wrong thing to do, especially us people here in Northern Ireland. Now, I'm not saying that if push comes to shove, I mean, I'm a patriotically proud British person living in Northern Ireland, and I defend what I believe in to the core. But I honestly think that when all that, you have to try all other avenues first. So we're putting our politicians under pressure right now to push the politicians into action to ensure. I mean, one of the things that we're doing is that, again, we have the problems with the monuments and our cenotaphs and everywhere else. Now, I'm glad to see that the boxes are going up around the London cenotaphs and the monuments.
Well, I'm not glad to see it, but it's, yeah.
No, but I would love to see that here in Northern Ireland, because we've been warning all week that some of our people are going to go to protect these places. And then what we do see is we see Republican agitators with some of these Black Lives Matter and all manner of left-wing agitator that are there, that are ready, and their friends in the media are there to sort.
Sorry, John, we've lost you there. But yeah, I mean, we're going to close off shortly. We've got about another 10 minutes to go. I want to keep this to the hour tonight, because last night's feed went on for about 2.5 hours.
Sort of enough there. I'm just saying, these people want to destroy your identity. They want to remove your national identity and everything that goes with it, and we'll give you an admission from these people earlier on. So they will try everything to bring anybody that is patriotically proud of being British. They will do anything they can to have them painted in a bad light in the media, and that's what we must not give them. And you know, and I understand how people is wound up, and there's nobody as wound up as me right now, but I say don't give them what they want. And I hope that our politicians push our police force. I mean, I was asking for the PSNI to come out and sort of declare a statement that anybody that is agitating or seem to be agitating or does take a spray can to one of our, you know, our heritage, our monuments or whatever, you know, it's hate crime according to the left. And there's a lot of precedent for this. And we could show them a million times over where people has done things. I mean, you take that young lad at the mosque. Do you remember the guy that left the bit of bacon outside the mosque? What happened to him?
He died in prison.
Over the years. Yeah.
He died in prison.
But
Bunny was, he basically left a ham sandwich or a bacon sandwich outside a mosque. Think about that. That's all he did. He got 6 months in prison, which to me is, I mean, people talk about an unfair justice system. And I've seen the way the police our demonstrations, especially if Tommy's involved. I mean, you know, people talk about the disproportionate way that black people are stopped by the police. And I think that they say the statistics is about 47% more likely to be stopped by the police if you're a black person. Now, I want to say, if there was a race called Tommy Robinson, you would be 3,000 times more likely to be stopped by the police if your name's Tommy Robinson than anybody else. He gets it all. If you've ever been with Tommy Robinson, if a policeman comes near him, what are you doing here? Where are you going? What are you about? He gets stopped all the time. So, you know, let's have a bit of balance. If you're in the movement, you can absolutely guarantee that your phone will be monitored. What you say will be monitored. They'll be listening to everything you say, because if they can get you for slipping up and saying something stupid and inflammatory, they will do it. And the reality is they've never managed to get Tommy, because he's never said anything that is inciting violence against people. I've never said anything that's inciting violence against people. In fact, people listen to what we're saying exactly the opposite. And I want to reiterate that tonight. If we have a situation on the streets of London on Saturday where white men get into pitched battles with black gangs, that is a lose for our movement. It is a disastrous lose. If we're in a situation where white men are handing out racial abuse or doing Nazi salutes, that is a lose for our movement. And if you're doing that, you're not on the side of the United Kingdom. How can somebody that loves the United Kingdom give out racist abuse and do things that would have been fitting for an SS officer? Okay, so that I just want to say that again, and Rikki said it at the beginning, John has now said it. We've got to make sure that it's peaceful, but at the same time, we've also got to make sure, like Rikki's doing, that we carry out our right, peacefully demonstrate. And it's very sad that the scaffolding's going up around those monuments, but it is a good sign. And this is the other thing that we've got to think about. Thousands of people have said they're going to London at the weekend to defend those monuments. Now, no matter what the press says about them, the left-wing press, the reality is that the government has now acted because our movement and our people and fellow patriots threatened to put tens of thousands of people on the street. And that's why it's still vital that people turn up. And if Black Lives Matter don't turn up and Antifa don't turn up, fine, just have a festival of Britishness on the streets on Saturday afternoon and celebrate your Britishness and have a great big party and get loads of carryouts from the Tesco's at Westminster Tube Station and have a good time. But go, don't not go. And that's really my parting gambit. Rikki, would you want to say some things to wind this up?
Yeah, thank you. I just think, yeah, like you said, Richard, we can encourage anybody who can be there to be there. And you made a very good point there that already it's had a reaction. You know, by putting the scaffolding up, it shows to me that they're trying to dissuade any type of potential clash to go on there, and at least they've took it seriously. Because for police officers to stand there and allow it to happen in their broad sight, that was the bit that really kind of disturbed myself and a lot of different people. So I would just say we continue speaking, we continue standing on our values, on British values, and remember, all of this is a big attack on Judeo-Christian values, which is the core values of our nation. You see it so much. So we stand strong on them values, and we stand united together, and we don't fall into these brackets of what these guys are doing of racism, of violence. We don't go that direction. We do our protesting with words and with intellect, and we'll win this battle.
Yeah, absolutely. John, have you got anything you want to say just as we close off here?
Yeah, I'm just seeing there the Karl Marx statue is down.
I don't think it's down. I think what they're saying is take the Karl Marx statue down.
Oh,
now,
sorry about that.
I'll be honest with you. I don't like Karl Marx. I detest his ideology. I detest Marxism. However, I don't want to see his statue taken down because his statue, I don't even know what it is, but his statue is a testimony to what goes wrong. And in the same way that these slave traders, yes, they were involved in the slave trade, but many of them did good things. And I said the other day, you know, imagine if John Newton, you know, had a statue somewhere. Would they be demanding to take John Newton's statue down? John Newton renounced the slave trade, fought against the slave trade, and basically became, you know, a great Christian preacher who wrote Amazing Grace. Would they demand? I'm sure they would. If there's a statue of John Newton, they would probably demand that his statue was taken down. So I don't want to see Karl Marx's statue taken down. I'm sorry, I don't want to see any statues taken down because they're part of British history and British culture, good or bad. Like we said last night, we've got to show Britain warts and all. Not everything that Britain did in the past was good, but the sum total of what we've done in the world has been good, and that's the difference. And that's what I think. Sorry, John, I cut across your eye.
You're okay. Well, I would like to close with a statement, I guess, or not a statement, but an old saying, and it says that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And my honest belief is that, you know, what's the end product of becoming involved in fighting, becoming involved in fighting with the police, becoming involved in fighting with the leftists, the media getting a hold of it, and you know that they give you a rough ride, basically. And I can picture the headlines on Sunday morning, on Monday morning, and for the rest of the week, is that far-right thugs have caused this, and really when it's not the case. So whenever we don't have the protection of the media, it's best to play it safe, and it's best to work smart and not hard, and to give these people what they want, because we can do more damage by being there. As you said, the very thought of thousands of people ascending upon London to protect those monuments was good enough to have the boxes put up around the monuments. And look, that's a win. That's a win already. Absolutely. So let's stay on the winning side of this.
I agree, John. I agree, absolutely. And again, yes, that's what we've been calling for all along. We've always called for peaceful protest. Now, a lot of people on the chat were saying, "Where's Tommy?" I am not just using Tom. I don't use Tommy's name as clickbait, and I'm a bit embarrassed that people might think that, because I've never done that. You know, I'm probably one of the few people that interviews Tommy that actually knows him. But the reality is, the reason Tommy has not been on last night or tonight is because he's been flat out editing this video about Black Lives Matter and about what's happening in the country. That's the priority, to get that video out. He is coming on tomorrow night at 7:30. The video will have been screened by then, and we will have a discussion, because I'm going to watch the video, because you know, apparently I've been talking to the guys that are making it. It's going to be a fantastic video. I'm going to watch the video, and me and Tommy are going to discuss the video, and again discuss the things that we've been discussing tonight, because these dialogues that we're having, and in a way, I'm actually glad that Tommy hasn't been on the last two nights, because it's given a chance for other people that wouldn't have normally had a voice to come on, Pastor Wally, John, Ricky, to come on and let people realize that there's a big movement here. There's a lot of people involved in this from all sorts of different backgrounds, and we've got a voice, and that voice has been heard. And like I say, tomorrow night, 7:30, Tommy will be on this channel, and we'll be talking about these issues in a lot more depth, because he's done a lot of research into this. He's going to tell us exactly what Black Lives Matter are about. And again, we'll be talking about the video and the impact that video is going to have in exposing, I suppose we should call them Black Lives Matter, because that's more accurate, a more accurate thing. Rikki, John, thank you for being here. Everybody that watched, thank you very much. Please like and share the video. Let's get these live feeds out there. We're on a bit of a roll at the minute, so we're going to have lots more guests over the coming weeks. And again, thank you all for watching. And now, please tune into Hearts of Oak, because they're going to be really angry with me because I've stolen half an hour of their time. I'll see you all soon. Thanks now. Bye-bye.